Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their edtech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Komal. Good morning. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneur Show. Thank you so much for taking time out for this.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to share whatever journey that I can with you, and I'm glad and grateful that you think that I have something of value to share.
Yeah, I totally think, and it's my pleasure having you here. I saw some of your reels, where you talk about stuff where most of the people on social media kind of don't, or at least the ones that I've come across. So I thought, you're already there. I'm just pulling you to my audience. That's
Yeah.
about it, Komal. Komal, so my first question is my usual one, and it's my favorite one as well. So, how did you get into fitness slash movement or yoga, whatever you want to call it? Did you always plan on doing this when you grew up, or how did it happen?
Honestly, I did not plan for it to be a career for sure, but fitness has always been a part of my life. Like I've always been an active person. I've played sport when I was younger, and then I think as an Indian, you play sport, but then as you come closer to your board's age, 12th grade especially, that's when your parents start being all like, "Hey, no more tournaments, no more matches." So I used
Yeah,
to play basketball quite a lot, even at state level, but by 12th, of course, like I had to get more serious about studies. So fitness, but even like I studied law, I did my 5 years of law graduation, the 5 year integrated course. But even throughout my college, it's just something that I did a lot of hiking, I did a lot of sport. Even in college, I kept exploring a lot of things, but it was just part of my life as something as I did. But as a career, no, like I did not think that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now when I was younger, for sure. Even a few years back, to be honest.
got it. So, what was the profession that you were into, if at all you were?
Yeah.
Sorry for assuming. But most of them, when they finish their degree, there is a certain conventional roadmap that
Yeah.
people take, and
Mhm.
then the usual story is that something happens along the way, and then they change. So, if you can talk about that part.
I studied law, the 5 year course, and I studied in Mumbai itself. I gave, like, there's an entrance exam you give for NLUs. I gave it, but I didn't like, I got one of the lower rung NLUs that I did not feel like moving for. So I just decided to study in a Mumbai Law College, affiliated to Mumbai University. And after the 5 years, I don't think it would be fair to say that I worked as a lawyer properly, because I was mostly in the probation period still before I quit and I changed my path. So I graduated, and the thing in Mumbai law colleges is that you intern throughout, like from first year itself, because
Right.
when you don't have a big college name attached to you, nobody really gives you work. And as a student of a local law college, you have to like intern and hope that you find a place that a thing or a path of law that you enjoy, and then you try and intern in those streams and you explore, and maybe by fourth or fifth year, usually people intern at a certain place, and usually they get absorbed by the same place. That's the hope. Whereas in NLU, it's different. Like they have a lot of focus on their studies, and then they intern in the little bit of break which they have. In Mumbai University, we didn't really have attendance; people work throughout.
Right.
So that's what I did. I interned on and off. I also had fun in college, so it was everything. At the end of 5 years, I was on a small probation period with a company, a legal department of a company. And just before they would, like, I knew that they would take me, like, I knew that, it was going to happen, but I did not want to. Like, I just quit very abruptly before that, because by that time, I was sure that I wanted to explore, if not do it full time, something else,
Right.
because I was just working and studying law for 5 years. I actually wanted to explore getting certified with a fitness thing right after law school. But of course, like, my parents were very concerned, and they didn't understand that choice. So they said, absolutely no. And you'd rather, be serious and, go ahead and work where you're getting work. So I followed what they said. They had good intentions, and I completely understood where they were coming from. But I think I call this phase where I abruptly quit, like a time when I went completely crazy. Like I had gone completely mad. I do not recommend anyone to do it. And I just realized there was just this internal calling and just this, like I needed to stop. So I did it in a very chaotic way. But yeah, that's how I came to explore fitness in general.
Got it, Komal. Uh, I'm a huge fan of this term called exploration, especially in your 20s,
Yeah.
be it before your degree or after your degree. I'm a bigger fan before degree
Yes.
because you might as well choose what you want to, kind of major in or specialize in. But
Mhm.
that is too conventional. I mean, that is too out of the box for our conventional thought process and stuff. At least you got to do it afterwards.
Yeah.
That is after your degree. And coming to abruptly quitting, I think sometimes it's needed because unless you don't have a plan and you don't have a plan, you really don't know what you're going to do. You're always complacent. Okay, fine, I'll plan because now you're in comfort situation. So
Yes.
got it. But you know what? I'd like you to, for the benefit of the listeners, and maybe somebody who's just about to start aspiring, to do something apart from what they've studied. When you spoke about exploration, can you talk about how was it in terms of your mental well-being? Were you clear? You said you wanted to explore fitness, but
Mhm.
did you arrive at that decision immediately, or did it take some time? And even in fitness, how did you kind of weigh your options? Because there's so much even in fitness, right? And how did you
Yes.
zero down on whatever you thought you wanted to do?
So during law college, I would be very active and do all sorts of things. Running was also something I really enjoyed doing. And I think around my third year or so, I actually got injured. It wasn't a major injury, but it required me to stay off of my normal training routine. And me being me, I was quite restless during, like when an active person is told to rest, they go a little crazy. Like they lose their mind. So I was that time Instagram was very new, and I was following a couple of people, and I saw a poster of a person doing a headstand, and I was like, man, I want to learn how to stand on my head. So that was the only reason I forced my friends to wake up early in the morning and come with me to this class. It was a yoga class, and it was my first ever yoga class I ever went to. I didn't learn to stand on my head that day, but I fell in love with how I felt in that class. Like I've never felt like that before, and I became a fan of the teacher, and I immediately signed up for being her student, and I practiced with her very fairly regularly, as regular as I could be as a law student, for that entire duration of my law college, right till the end of fifth year. So even during the time where I quit my work, I actually was quite scared to tell anyone in my family. Like my mom knew, but my dad used to travel a lot. So I actually avoided telling my dad for the longest time. And to stay away from home, after my yoga class, I still kept going. After my yoga class got over, I would just hang around her, like my teacher. And that time she was getting big on Instagram. So she used to shoot a lot of her videos outside of class. And I would hang out and like help her out. And at some point, she looked at me and she was like, "Why do you just keep hanging around? Do you not have any work or what?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm jobless right now. And I'd rather just hang here than go home for a bit." So she actually encouraged me to go for my certification, a yoga certification to Mysore, and learn under her teacher. I was quite underconfident that time because I said, "Oh, like I'm just learning under you. Like, how can I learn under your teacher?" But she was like, I think I call her, I think of her as my guru, even though she doesn't like that term. She says it makes her feel old, but for me, she was the person who pushed me. And during my probation and stuff, I got paid a very basic stipend, but I didn't have any expenses because I lived at with my mom and dad. I had that privilege, so I had that money saved up. It wasn't a lot, but it covered the yoga certification and like a little bit of spending money I would have there. So I, signed up and I said, fine, I'm going to go to Mysore. So that's how it began. That's how I actually chose yoga, because I was already consistent in practice, and my teacher gave me direction. So when I went to Mysore, I just went with the mindset of maybe it'll be a nice chance to stay away from home for a bit. And also, I get to learn something I already love and go deeper into it. I had no plans to, teach. When I did my certification in Mysore, it was a 1 month residential course. I enjoyed it. I love learning. And I also discovered a knack that I have of teaching, because a module in that course required you to teach your batchmates. And I realized I genuinely enjoy it and I love it. And I love improving on, how I'm talking, how I'm presenting myself. So when I came home, there was a rough plan in my head. There was no plan till then. Like I just went thinking I'll learn and come back. When I came home, by the end of the course, I had this small rough plan thinking that maybe I can apply for my master's in law. And while I'm doing that, a nice side hustle would be to teach yoga wherever I go and teach. Because if I'm going outside of India, yoga is a very in demand class. So that was a rough plan that during the course I had while I was, learning. And then I came home, and that's the path that I got on. Like, I applied for master's, and then I started. Also, I kept working on my teaching. So I came home back to Mumbai, and I also assisted other yoga teachers. I told my parents to give me this chance to, I told them that I'm applying for masters, but I don't want to do any law related thing during then. So give me that chance to like apply. And while I apply, I work on my yoga teaching skills so I don't lose this confidence. And my teacher helped me by referring me to another teacher who I assisted for no, like, they didn't pay me. So I would just go to their studio, help opening the studio close, and just watch them teach, come back and do my master's applications. That's it. That was my life for a bit. So no
Wow,
plan. Just
very,
happened one after the other.
very interesting. It seems, it just felt like the way you described the way you assisted your teachers, it felt like really 50, 60 years back, when students or so called apprentices, they used to
Yeah,
go
it's
in
the best
search of
way.
their guru,
It's
right?
the
I mean,
best
there's no
way to learn.
expectations. You do
No.
the menial things like
Yes.
open the door,
Yes.
close the door,
Yes.
clean the place, and
Yes.
then,
That's
you kind
exactly
of
right.
build a relationship with your guru.
Yeah.
Beautiful to kind of listen to that whole thing. It was nice, refreshing to say the least, because I haven't heard anything like that in a while. And the way you said nice side hustle.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be. That was exactly what I thought.
Right. Got it. And then so you did your masters in peace, that was again to do with law, so that means at that point you
I
also
actually didn't do my
considered.
master's. I
Okay.
just applied for it.
Okay.
And then while I was assisting, what happened was, when by the time I got my results back, I got into two places that I wanted to after, like, I applied to multiple, but being from a Mumbai local law college, it's very difficult to like any outside university to like take that seriously. But I got into two places that I really wanted to, out of which one I was sure about. And that is the time that COVID hit. And the thing is, that time nobody in the world was prepared. So the uni that I had applied to for masters and I accepted the seat, they didn't have an online option. So they gave
Right.
me an option to simply defer the seat, like, to next year. And I said, why not? Like, sure. At least now I know that I have a seat for sure. And they just said, you come next year, because now visas and everything got stopped for Indians. So I told them I'll come next year, and they had my spot for that. During that time, I had applied to a few yoga studios also, like,
Okay.
to work there, and I got through. That time it was Cult Cure Fit, now like Cult
Yeah.
Sport
Yeah.
and Mind Fit. That's what it used to be called. So, but the thing is, since COVID hit, the offline profiles became online work,
Yeah.
and then I was quite lost, because at that point, it's not even like the law side was hiring new people, because it was so chaotic. And at that point, I did not know what to do with my newfound yoga skills, because the studios, the first things to get shut were fitness gyms and studios. So I had no idea what to do, and I was going crazy at home because of lockdown. So I decided to teach my friends online for free. So just to practice, and I sucked. I hated it. I sucked. And I was like, what the hell is this? Because, I have no idea, because how you teach offline is so different from your online, especially when you're doing a physical activity or like yoga, also how to keep their attention on you, your cues. So it was really bad, and I was already like a new-ish teacher that time. And I just assisted offline till then, like my entire experience. So I was like, okay, I don't have any option. So I actually did a lot of hard work where I worked on my online skills. I took a lot of free sessions, just a
Right.
lot of them.
Right.
Sometimes one person would come, sometimes more people would come. So while COVID was happening, I told my parents that now I have a seat. I know that next year I'm going to go there. So why don't you give me more time and just allow me to get confident in my teaching?
Right.
and just give me this time on my own. They weren't very happy with it, I'll be very honest, but I did it anyway. So I started that's how my journey into online teaching began. Then I started working part time with CureFit, and I would do my own sessions half of the day, and I would be busy
Right.
all day. During that time, like while taking free sessions, before I got the CureFit job actually, and it became online, uh, I got my first PT student where I still remember they paid me money and I couldn't believe it because I was like, oh, someone paid me money to teach them. And they had a very specific issue that, I was like, okay, yeah, I think I can help them with it. That was my first paying student. And then CureFit came back, they offered me the online spot. And then it became like a whole thing where, slowly more students started coming. And my community kept growing and growing through that year during COVID. Yeah, so that's how I just incidentally started teaching online. And I don't know how, but like one student came in, they brought their friends, and then it just became a whole community thing. And it's just, yeah, by second year, I was sure that I wanted to do this full time. It took about 2 years for me to be sure about that.
Got it, Komal. I think you can hear the background
Yeah,
noise now.
yeah,
Okay, great. I'm
yeah,
going to finish my question real quick. You said you sucked initially,
yes,
and now that you do a lot of online classes, looking
yes.
back, what did you really suck at? Can you, like, talk about it a little bit?
Yes. So in an online session, your cues need to be very specific. And for your cues to be specific, when you're practicing on your mat as an asana practice teacher, specifically talking about yoga for now, you have to be very mindful about what you are doing in your body. And only when you know what you're doing in your body and you can describe it in the simplest of languages, that's when you will be able to express it. For that, you need a very solid self practice. And how I actually put a lot of effort into it in the sense that I would record myself while teaching. So I would have my phone or my laptop set up and I would pretend that I'm taking classes. And I did that so many times. Like over weekends when I had free time, this is all I did. I used to talk, I used to replay my recording. Sometimes I would just record my voice and, see how I would, if I have a sequence, I would write it down and I would see how I would cue it. So that's how I improved. And it's also practice. Like, I sucked at a class and then I sucked a little less at the second class. So that's just practice. So basically, your verbal cues need to be really solid. Your knowledge of anatomy, in, of course, like technical terms is important, but also how would you explain it to an absolute beginner is very important. So put yourself in their shoes. That only comes with you being a student in different online classes and you being a teacher in different online classes. So this is how I actually work with them. So your verbal cues as well as your physical demonstrations need to be very on point. And in an online class, that matters a lot more than an offline class, because offline class you can still correct each other while looking at each other, and online you also have to learn how to be commanding enough to have their attention on you. It is normal tendency for people to zone out. Even I do if I'm a student. So I had to also teach how to like get their attention back, and have certain times where I know that they're zoning out, so get them back. So this is how I sucked. Like my verbal cues weren't on point earlier. I used to talk too much when I used to be in class. Sometimes I would not talk enough. So this is something that only came with practice. So these are the small, and you can't touch them, right? So which is why it has to be really, really strong what you say and very specific. So basically, how you talk matters a lot, especially when it's online.
Got it, Komal. Thank you for that. And you said it took 2 years for you to kind of decide that you wanted to go full time. What was that 2 years like? What were the things that kind of helped you decide, be it in terms of confidence of earning money as well as the likability of the profession?
Actually, it was money was the main factor that helped me decide. The first year when I started off, it wasn't consistent income at all. And even now, to be honest, as a freelancer, it's never like consistent income. Sure, after a certain amount of years, you'll reach a certain bracket, but it's not like the same number each month. That's very rare. So the first year, I only had the mindset that I'm practicing for my eventual yoga as a side hustle thing, which is the only mindset I had for that entire year. By December, in COVID, I think it was still going on. I realized that, oh, like I have a substantial amount of people who've been coming into class. But again, my doubt was it's because of COVID. And, once COVID goes away, people are not going to do online anymore. So it was very temporary in my head. Then by the second year, the time period where I had to confirm to my uni came near. They started emailing me saying like, when are you coming? And the thought of going back to law is something that didn't fill me with a lot of happiness. I was enjoying myself. Like, sure, the money was still not as much, it was not consistent, but it was this thing about my heart. Like, I just enjoyed myself, and it felt like I have always loved moving, and it almost felt like things that I would do as a younger person. Now I have the opportunity to teach those things, and at some level, when I was younger, I had always wanted to do fitness related things. But being from a family that nobody ever has done such a thing, like my brother's done engineering, my dad and mom have the mindset that I would also go down that conventional path. I was very scared, and even thinking of this was like I had the Kida, but then I did not know. So it took me that 1 year to actually, when the uni started telling me, that's when I started accepting that, okay, I don't want to do law, and I was a little scared to even accept that for a long time. Then finally, when it was the last call of the uni, like I kept procrastinating, I refused and I said, hey, I'm going to not come, I'm giving up my seat. And of course, again, I didn't tell my family for a long time. Like I was so scared. I kept working on my business and growing it till one fine day. My brother actually remembered when we, met together, and he's like, "What about your uni? Like it's been like all the people I know, like they're going back. Like what's up with yours?" That's when I sat them down and I told them that I'm not. I told them that I'm not coming, and they were extremely angry because I should have told them, yeah, but I was also scared. Really wrong thing to do. And then they had a lot of questions, to be honest, fair questions like, firstly, what is wrong with you? Secondly, what are you going to do? Like, this is a temporary phase after COVID. They are not going to be your students. What are you going to do then? So I completely understood it. I heard their questions and I requested them to give me a period of this 6 months to really just work on this and give me that chance to like trust me. And to their credit, they did. And honestly, like my mom was very had played a big role in that because she kind of convinced my brother and dad to like, because she had seen that, I think she had seen that I was just happier, working online and teaching people. So to their credit, they did give me that trust and they didn't interfere. And yeah, so because of this one conversation, I actually had a lot of fire under my ass. And I started working full on hard. So I quit even the part time pure fit because I knew I could make more money on my own. And I took classes and I didn't say no to any opportunity. So I worked really, really hard. And it's also like a physically demanding job. I actually worked a little too hard because I realized that I have to prove that I can make as much money as maybe a person in my batch in law school. So I put in that consistent amount of work, and that year I didn't even take weekends off. Like there was no single day I took off. And by the end of that year, I knew that I was hitting a consistent range of income, and I knew that this is something that I can actually grow. And when there was no optionality left for me to back off on, I put in my 100% in, and I had that trust in myself that okay, I can make something of this. So yeah, it was just that fire under my bum to prove to my parents that I can do it in that year. That's when I knew that I've made that difference.
Got it, Komal. What I learned is that, sometimes when you're very clear about what you want to do and what you like, also, unless the thing that you don't like comes and kind of, pushes you to do that,
Yes,
I think it just kind of repels you
100%.
automatically into the thing that you have to do. And
Yeah.
you said, that 6 months of time you had to do a lot of things to at least, make some money. What if you would have the same money you would have made if you were working in law, something like that? I'm not going to ask how much and all that. My point is, what are the conscious decisions that you, for example, you said, you didn't take weekends off and all that. That's one thing. But how did you get the paying students? What are the things that you started doing differently to kind of get to that space, where you had?
Uh, at the start, my main, even till date, my main source of paying students is word of mouth. And it started like with one person coming in. That one person would put up something maybe on social media about me. Because of that, I would get queries. So either one of my students would get their own friends or family to work out with me, or there would be social media. Someone would approach me from either Twitter or Instagram to practice with me. And a lot of people think that, you need a very big account, 10,000, 15,000 followers to do this. I got my first paying student from social media when I was at like 500 followers or something, like on Twitter. And it doesn't matter, to be honest. I don't feel like, sure, a big number helps, but I feel like if you're constantly putting yourself out there saying that this is who I am, this is what I do again and again and again, there'll be people who are watching, and maybe one of them would identify and relate with you. So main source is word of mouth. People came in, they liked what I did, and they got other people to join. And second is social media. And I mean, like, I'm on three major social medias: Instagram, Twitter. I'm trying to be active on LinkedIn. However, I find it quite boring, but LinkedIn also. So I try to maintain a presence in all three. I have my own favorites. I enjoy Twitter because it's so insane and it's so chaotic. So I enjoy posting there. But these are three platforms that I maintain visibility over. Main thing, though, word of mouth. So if your work is good, I know for a fact that the same people you have, that same one client will bring in five others if they like what you do. So I'd like to believe that all of this, your paying students will come if your work is good. So if you're honest and really working hard on what you're doing, the paying students will come. I started on a very low range when it comes to like asking them a fee, and it took me a little bit of time and building up of courage to slowly increase my fees as well. So also, like, you have to be a little bit more aware of how much you have to charge, etc., etc., at the start. So it's, you're comfortable and even they are comfortable paying you as a new teacher.
Got it, Komal. Got it, Komal. And what is the lowest that you've charged, and what is the highest? And is it for one-on-one or is it for a group? And if it is both, what are the charges for both?
So this is very wrong, but I did a very big mistake. My first ever student, which is the lowest I've charged, was an online session. It was one on one, and I just charged him 200 bucks for one session. Wait, actually, not even one session. For like, I've given him like three or four, I don't even remember, but I did not know. I was just like, will he even pay me? Why would he pay me? Like, who am I? That was horrible, right? So that's where I started from. Now current cut to this day for my online one-on-ones, I now charge 1200 per session. And there are people who will pay you that and even higher. So I currently charge 1200 per sessions for one-on-one. So if people are practicing with me thrice a week or every day, then, and I also try and customize packages if they're practicing every day. For groups, I have different batches, so it depends on what you're joining. For the online one specifically, the intermediate students, the one who have actually both intermediate and beginners, they have about 12 sessions, and that comes to about 4,000 right now, which is an online session. And that's where I am currently in the current place. With the studio, if I work, then of course my setup, because studio is different. But this is my online session rates that I only conduct.
Got it, Komal. It's pretty amazing how you started off at, like literally 50 rupees per hour, 75 rupees per hour,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then to 1200 rupees per hour. And I love the way you question, like, why is this guy gonna pay me? That's I
yeah.
think, the most critical question, because some
Yes.
people feel entitled to be paid. I'm not saying that's wrong, but, it's always a good thing to start with the question, okay, why is someone gonna pay me? Because you're gonna then look at your skills, what you're offering, and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, 100%.
I'm going to move on to what you do currently. You said yoga, but then on your Instagram profile where I found you, it says, you're a fitness coach, or a movement coach, rather. I'm so sorry, movement with, all that is what I see. So, starting from yoga, how did you kind of, add variety to the products or the services that you're offering?
It was mainly based on my personal interests and how those evolved with time. I have never changed. Usually, people who do yoga, they always end up changing their Instagram handle to yoga with name. So it would be yoga with Komal, right? Or yoga with someone. Since the start, I didn't relate to that change. Whereas, like, a lot of peers in my circle, because I started hanging out with yoga people, did that because I was always doing multiple things. Like, asana practice was one consistent activity for sure, but I always did a lot of fitness based things apart from that. And but I did do this thing where even though my I enjoyed so many things. When I had to teach, I did give up and cut down on a lot of things, and my entire focus was very consistent, very intense asana practice for about 1.5 years, 2 years, I think, where I really gave it my all. And I only did that one thing, so that I knew that I'll have a certain level of expertise. But of course, I was still playing sport. I still went to the gym on and off. uh, by while I was doing asana practice, I realized that if this is, a physical fitness related thing is what I want to do, is it possible for me to also offer different things? So what I did is the first offering that I had apart from yoga was another form of movement called animal flow. Not a lot of people know about it, but animal flow is really fun body weight flow based movement that takes a lot of different elements from martial art, yoga, as well as dance. And it has combined it into a floor based body weight strength and mobility system that is super fun. And I enjoyed it a lot. So I actually ended up attending an animal flow workshop and got certified in it. Like I gave my exam and everything. And I knew that now I can teach, after preparing for the exam and giving it. So I started offering animal flow, mainly also because I was enjoying it and I practiced it and I, gave the exam. So I started doing animal flow. Then I started integrating a lot of animal flow elements within my asana practice class. That's how even my sessions evolved. Over time, while I was teaching, I actually got injured. This was a very big major injury, and whatever, like, not getting into that, but it was major enough that I lost a lot of my big movement patterns. So squat, lunge, I couldn't walk, I couldn't run. And during that time, I actually was advised by the doctor to step away from fitness and coaching in general. Now that was horrible because it was like I suddenly started, I'm just starting out, and I've been told that I can't, and if you can't move properly as a coach, it's a big deal. And
Yeah,
you're
it's your
I had
bread and
also
butter,
attached,
literally.
yeah, and I had attached my identity to being able to move well. So it was a very weird time in my life, but my personality is to be very stubborn, which is also a bad thing for people who know me, but a good thing in the sense that I didn't accept this conclusion.
Right.
And after a lot of fighting and searching for a doctor who will help me, I finally came across one who worked with athletes and who gave me a time frame and a realistic framework on how I can come back. And I worked my ass off. And during those 6 months, I was introduced to strength training, like seriously lifting weights to build muscle, because I had a huge joint injury. So I had my tissue had torn around my hip, and my joint was completely unstable. And I was told that if I was able to build enough muscle to support my joint, I will be able to do something. Like there are a few asanas that I had to give up forever, which is okay as long as I could move fine. So those 6 months, I stopped everything. I could just I went, in fact, I didn't even meet any of my friends. I was teaching, I was working out, and I was crying. There were the three constants that I did, but then it helped. It paid off because by the end of those 6 months, I actually enjoyed strength training so much. And I realized the benefits I had as a yoga practitioner to include weights in my routine. And that's when I also got into a very big rabbit hole of injury and yoga induced injuries and generally injury recovery and rehab in general, because I know the mental health issues I had when I got injured, and I was desperate. And in order to help myself, I ended up like reading and studying a lot during those 6 months. And then I turned out I want to help other people who are injured. So that's where my interest and evolution went, from asana practice to reading more about anatomy to learning how much weights would help a person have overall fitness. That's where I decided that I want to pursue an additional fitness certification related to lifting weights, strength training, and be an actual physical PT or physical trainer coach. So I'm currently pursuing that. I'm studying for it. But once I came out of my injury rehab time, I started coaching clients even within yoga. So as an asana practitioner, I started coaching one-on-one clients for injury rehab. And I got, like, I was flattered enough to get trust of my own physio who I was working for. She actually started sending me her patients who, after rehab with her, would come with me because I would guide them back to movement, whatever they are. They were athletes of different types, cricketers. I've worked with cricketers, power lifters, uh, sprinters who used to work with my physio. Once they were done with her, they would come to me and I would work with them on how to come back. And during that time, I also didn't get officially certified, but I have also studied different types of movements, a lot of mobility based programs for injury rehab. So I realized that this is not something I actively advertise, by the way. This is just something that happened, and I started getting more. I started talking about injury on social media, and I realized there was a lot of shame as a fitness coach to talk about injury. Nobody talks about it. As a yoga teacher, nobody talks about it because you being injured from yoga is ironic. People will be like, yoga is beneficial for you. How did you get injured? And I felt very lonely. So because I felt lonely, I spoke about it on my social media. That had a nice effect because actually a lot of other coaches shared their stories with me, which made me feel less alone. And I didn't realize just being vulnerable online actually led to a lot of clients approaching me saying, I have this pain and I saw you speak about your pain. Can you help me? And I was like, yeah. So that's how I also got clients, which without much active advertisement. So this is, and I started adding asana practice, then I do strength. So I my current workout schedule is I lift and I do asana practice on alternate days. Apart from that, I keep exploring a lot of other stuff that my body allows to. So these are the interests I had, and then I realized that a tag of asana is not something that I only attach myself to. So then I thought to rebrand and call myself maybe a movement coach or like a fitness coach, and state what I offer under that tag. So currently, this is where I am. These are two things that I want to start actively offering. I will be officially certified even within the strength training certificate, hopefully by the end of this year. So, I'll have another credential to add to it. But I already take strength training batches and strength training as part of PT in my personal capacity already.
Got it, Komal. Wonderful. It's a great example of, I mean, one of the advantages of having a following is to be able to share no matter what happens to you,
Yes.
and just something comes out of it. And the way you probably handled your injury and then made it a useful thing to add to your list of skills, I think that's pretty amazing. People who are listening wondering what to do in times of adversity or downtime, just talk about the same. And
Yes.
there are a lot of people, I think, are going through a lot of issues. There's so much population anyway in the internet, and
Yeah.
everybody wants to find somebody similar to situations that they're going through. But going back to the 6 month injury layoff period, you said you still continued teaching. You didn't meet your friends, you continued teaching, working out and crying. uh,
Yeah.
Crying is okay, you're probably
That's all.
healing. How did you continue teaching if you couldn't move? Were you just giving
So
instructions?
yes, mainly. So there were some movements that I could. So the thing is, I would take a lot of breaks, and even while teaching. So not like teaching breaks. I'm saying while I'm in the class, I continue teaching, and by that time, I had a consistent base of students who would come no matter what. And the people who were beginners and who were newer students, my main energy actually goes, like my majority energy when I teach goes in a beginners batch, if especially if it's online. Like I'm completely like involved, especially when it's a beginner. And I'm very strict also about the beginners batch, where I completely stop. Like even if it's 5 people, I don't allow any more to join. And those beginners have, because I have to move more during a beginners batch, it takes them more time to understand what I'm saying and get used to an online class. Whereas I take my intermediate students for granted, and with the intermediate batch, the benefit I have is that some of my students are now with me for a couple of years. So sometimes I'm saying something and I just spotlight one of my regular students on Zoom, and they actually demonstrate for the class, and it becomes a nice way that the other class people also get to know each other. So this is what I do in the intermediate. So I have the, like I could still sit a lot more within the intermediate batch, and of course there were some things that I still demonstrated, but I was very honest with my students. So for even in the beginners batch, I would move more, but the beginners batch, they are scaled down versions of what I taught, which is why it wasn't that tough for me. I did have to take a lot of care though. Like I was in pain before and after the class that I taught. So I cut down on the hours that I was teaching. And I was incredibly honest with my students. So I even told them outright that I cannot demonstrate this. Can someone help me? Or I would tell them that this is what I'm going through. So even that time, like they knew it. And once I was honest, they were actually very, very amazing and understanding. And most like, if you really want to, you figure out a way. And in general, if you're honest, people end up helping you somehow or the other. So it was quite painful, I'm not going to lie, but I think if I wasn't working, I would have lost my mind. So it didn't come to my mind only that I would stop working. It gave me a routine in my day. I would wake up at a certain amount of time, this much hours I was busy. If I didn't have this, I was in constant pain during those days, especially the initial part of my injury. And I swear, I think I would have been a miserable person, like if I didn't have this. So I actually often told them that I'm very grateful that they choose me and come to my class, because they are actually helping me more than me helping them at that point. It was almost like a crutch that I used to, stay normal during that 6 months.
Got it, Komal. Uh, Wonderful stuff to hear. There is a lot of nuanced uh, details that are in this. Being a individual business owner, and who depends upon social media to kind of run their business. But I'll probably park that and bring in later or at another time. Now, what I'd like to focus on, Komal, is talking about your source of students again, just from a social media point of view, trying to debunk some myths, be it the amount of followers that you need to have, and the things that one has to do. And let's talk about that a little bit. My first question here is, your page is got, I think, 3,500 or something, less than 4,000 followers at this point. And you said you found your first student or your inquiry when you just had 500 followers.
That was on Twitter, on Instagram too. On Instagram, I had like 150 or 200. Mostly my friends and acquaintances of those friends that you usually have. I had a
Wow.
private account that time,
Okay.
so I had just opened it. So even lesser on Instagram.
Got it. This is great. This is very encouraging for people to, kind of just start off something that if they're confident, and then, don't have to like really look at those numbers. But at 3,500 followers or 4,000 followers, a little shy of 4,000 maybe, what is the average number of enquiries you get on probably weekly, monthly basis?
I've never really sat down and thought about this. This actually tells me that I should actually do this, but it's not a lot. I'll be honest. Like if I like a broad number, if I can tell you, I'll get like, I think in a week I might get three, four queries, and not all of them convert. And not every week everyone converts. When I announce my classes or a new batch, usually I get about uh, 10, 12 queries. Even during that time, it's not a lot. And maybe out of the 10, 12, like 2, 3 will convert. So that's usually like the social media stats. I actually get, even now, most of my clients from word of mouth, or like they've heard of me from their friend or some person who's attended my class. So that's about it. No, no, not many new queries as such. But I mean, I've not sat down and even thought about this or even
Got it,
paid
Komal.
attention to
Komal,
it as
you
much.
know what? Yeah, you're saying not a lot, but I'll tell you what, the way I look at it right now, there are two kinds of social media pages. One is
Mhm.
company run social media pages, and
Mhm.
another is for individuals. Now, see,
Mhm.
companies that hire a lot of people that scale, they need a lot to sustain.
Yes.
But how much do you need? People think you need a lot as an individual teacher or an expert to, make a lot of money. Not at all. From what I've seen and what I've spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs, who are giving out some knowledge, especially as an individual, you whatever you're saying, 3, 4 per week, which is 12 per month or whatever it is, at least with the following of 4,000, and it's only going to grow, right? It is a lot to deal with even as an individual. You don't have so much of time because it
That's
is
true.
not like you just do 1 hour and then you move away, right?
Yeah,
They
that's
do
true.
for a certain number of hours. So now,
Yeah.
on that note, let's say, what is your average duration? How much time do you spend with one student? And how many can you accommodate in a day? Can you just break it down?
Uh,
Roughly. It doesn't have to be very accurate.
yeah, yeah. So the thing is, after a lot of trial and error, I have now come to a structured work for me, because the thing is, you define your own work hours as a individual. So after
Right.
my crazy, insane attempt of 1.5 years of not taking any break, which was absolutely horrible to do, but you have to do it at the start. I think it is, you have to, like, you have to put in those hours. After that insane year, I realized that I have got into this toxic relationship with work, because as an individual business owner, you never switch off. And even
Right.
when you're off work, you're just like, what can I do? Or if I'm like, oh, I can make this a content, and it's horrible, honestly, like it's horrible. Like like I did go through a phase where I felt absolutely burnt out. I forced myself to take a break. My first break was 10 days to spend with my family. Guess what? Out of the eighth day, I announced my new batch or a new workshop that day only because I couldn't take it. I thought I had this panic that I'll lose my students, they'll go away, they'll forget me. There's this constant thing. So now, currently, I feel I'm at a healthy place after a lot of learning and forcing breaks. I now take Sundays off. Saturdays, I only work very selectively for like PTs who've been with me for a while. Otherwise, I don't like working on
Sorry,
weekends.
what is the PT thing? Is
Personal
it PT?
training.
Oh,
Personal
personal
training.
training. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I Saturdays also I usually keep off, but currently I have a few students who they've been with me for a bit, so I only take them. So weekends now are my sacred time.
Right.
During the week, this is how I structure because you're a person who has a physically demanding job and you're also
Right.
constantly talking and there with the person you're there with. So on Monday, Wednesday, Friday currently are my chill days. I have my group sessions in the morning and evening, and I take about maybe 2 or 3 PT sessions in between the group sessions. So it'll be maybe 3-4 hours of work. That's it. Okay.
Right.
Tuesday, Thursday, I keep it pretty hard and I do about 5-6 hours. So I take those sessions, for Tuesday and Thursday. And then I really give it. And then Wednesday, Friday again, it's a little chill. So that's
Got
how
it.
I structured it. And on top of that, now I can afford to, keep weekends chill. Earlier, when I was working, I would actually give Monday to Sunday, I would do approximately 5 to 6 or sometimes even more. It was really bad. And there was also a phase where I was working with that other entity. So I did like part time with them 6 hours and then I would do 5 hours of my own class. So it was a little insane. So now it's reduced. It depends on you. I would suggest for individual people who want to have classes of any type, I would genuinely request them to explore group sessions.
Right.
It makes it fun. It gives you a variety in teaching. And within the group sessions, then you add few PTs, but price your PTs higher because you're giving your 1 hour that you could, have a group to that one person. So then
Right.
that way you're making good amount of money, but you're not working that many hours is what I have learned till now. And also splitting your days where you're not working too much on Monday, working hard on Monday also really helps because it's just you.
Right.
So, and you're doing everything. I'm doing content creation. I have to be an editor for my social media. I have to plan my sessions. I have to do my own physical fitness and training. So you're everything. So, you have to like give yourself a little time, and also coming up with creative things for your class also requires a fair amount of free time, which if you don't have, you're just going to be burnt out.
Got it, Komal. I'm going to come back to the content creation and all that. But before
Yeah.
that, so at any given point in time, what's the total number of students that you have under you, roughly? Like
Mm.
20, 15, 10, I don't know. I mean,
In my group sessions, about 30 to 35
okay.
mostly. So
Okay.
counting all of my, I have 2 batches right now. And with my PTs, I have about 5 or 6 students. So
Got it.
35 plus 5 or 6, usually that's the count.
Got it.
And out of this is not a fixed number, but I know for sure out of this, I'll have at least every month 25, 30 coming in. This is with group and PT. So this is the consistent students who have been coming into class for, months on end. They keep coming.
Wow. Okay. So let me just try and understand this, right? Now, in doing a fitness sort of a thing with a trainer, the people that come every month regularly or every week, every month, whatever it is, they come to practice with you. It's not like they're
Yes.
learning something. Yeah, they learn, but it's mostly kind of they're blocking away 1 hour to practice
Yes.
with somebody with company so that their habit is not broken or
Correct.
whatever it is. This is
Yeah.
one type of people.
Yes.
And the what are these people that you're talking about that come to you every month, new set of 25, 30 people or whatever it is? Though these are people that come and go away, is it? They just learn
No,
something new.
yeah, so the 20, I'm saying 25, 30 are fixed. These are the regular ones who have been coming now for a couple of months. And these are people who are working professionals in general, like people I teach. And they want the instruction, they need someone to be there to make them work out, and they're
Right,
also used
right.
to me teaching them. So there
Right.
are people who come in regardless, and even if they'll miss maybe a month because of illness or whatever travel, they'll still come back. So these are
Got it.
this I know that my fixed income this much maybe
Got
will
it.
reach. Okay,
Got it.
the new people who keep coming and going are the people who are now I know of like one is the who's
These are the
explored.
1200 per hour people.
No, not PT. These are the groups. So they are not people who would pay for PT. Like PT
Got it.
students are more serious because 1200 per session is a big investment for an online session.
Right.
So they come, they explore the group session, they learn with me for a month. It can either be that maybe they didn't enjoy my style of teaching, so they go to another teacher,
Right.
or maybe they don't have enough time, it didn't fit in with their schedule, or they got lazy, like they don't want to show up, then they come to me 3 months later saying, oh my god, I fell off track, and I come back. So these are like people who come and go, or sometimes I keep seeing brand new faces, or sometimes there'll be a brand new face who becomes a permanent regular face, over time.
Right.
So
Right.
different categories. And also like there will be times where you also have to accept that there are people who will join your class but they won't like what you're teaching,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
you have to be okay with it. Like it's fine, like you don't like everyone and everyone's style, so people maybe won't enjoy your style for that month or whatever.
Yep. Got it, Komal. So the what I'm taking away is, if you're an individual fitness trainer, you don't need too many people to follow
No.
you. You don't even need too many people. You just do your stuff,
Yes.
seriously, and you will make it out there. That's the kind of hope and confidence that I'm getting after having spoken
Yes.
to you so far. And it's not even big pressure money or whatever it is. It's not like, oh no, she's doing so much, I can't do so much. All these things I've kind of heard, and even you're not, whatever you're doing is also pretty reasonable, which
Mhm.
is kind of people can aim for it. So that's one thing. Now coming back to content, right now, for people who are starting out, who've just had their profile up maybe with 100 followers or whatever it is, what would you let me rephrase this question. What would you do if you are at 100 followers now? What are the things that you wouldn't do that you did earlier, and what are the things that you double down on now that you have some experience?
Uh, I don't think I'm at the correct place to answer this because I have only got serious about social media last year. It's
Okay.
like I can even tell you around October, November is when I actually planned social media. I have no advice to give because I have not taken social media seriously because I don't think I get that many leads from it. I use it to have fun. I'll be honest. Like when I
Right.
started off, I opened up my Instagram earlier and my Twitter, like because of feedback of my own peers, other coaches, I have actually cut it down. Otherwise I used to do so much rubbish on it. Like I used to make rubbish, like random funny bullshit, I would say, on my Instagram. I would put up memes, I would make memes, I would put myself up like doing rubbish, and I just had fun. Like I would just enjoy myself. And even Twitter, I used to do so much shit posting, and ironically, like without putting effort, and I would just put in myself, like as I am, like chaotic, and it wasn't professional at all. Even after I opened my profile, over time, of course, I would share my own journey. I would like whatever, but I didn't have any strategy. You see, like I
Right.
would do something, I would think it's funny, I would post it. That's how I operated my social media. I have no idea why the hell 3,000 people even followed me on Instagram. I'm just like, okay. Like, as my students started growing, like, a lot of times they also used to tag. That's how, whatever, like, my account grew. But also 3,000, 3,500 is still counted as a smaller account or
It is.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't put in effort. I just got here posting things that I would genuinely love posting. Like I would post my practice, I would post glimpses from my workouts, what I'm doing in the day, just randomly. Twitter, absolutely unhinged. Like I would just post random things that came to my head, even
Right.
jokes. Um, then over time this year, but I would still get leads, by the way. Like people like that, like they like just seeing. The thing is, people overthink too much about social media. I realize that because maybe my natural personality is that I am just as I am, like here, and even if you meet me, like I'm not sure, like I won't. I blabber a lot, I talk a lot in general. So, I'll be like that online. But I realized when I met other yoga teachers, also, especially, they think so much. They would tell me things like, wow, I like how you just post. And I never understood that. I was like, it's like, what do you mean? So then I realized they put in so much effort. They'll design it beautifully and they'll really think. And for me, my logic has always been most people, their Instagram stories, they're sitting on the toilet pot and just like scrolling. They're not
Right.
going to. remember what you're putting. So my logic has always been that. And I realized that there are people who really like remember and put effort. I was like, I never, it was just a personality thing, I guess. But I would suggest don't overthink. Like, tomorrow you're having coffee, you like the coffee, put the bloody coffee on the Instagram. That's it. That's content, okay? So that's how I used to think of it. But however, last year I was working in collaboration with a studio in Mumbai. That was as a strength coach,
Right.
and that's where even like having only 3,000 followers, there is a tendency though you start feeling like other people who have more followers, they have more clients, and they then you start feeling a little insecure, and then you compare yourself to them. That did start happening to me in between, like even before I went to the studio, till I met a few people who had big following. And I keep going back to Mysore, like to do my yoga certifications, upgrade it. And I met quite a few people with way bigger accounts than me, like 20K, 25K, 30K followers. And when I met them, I realized that one thing, that it doesn't matter if you have big accounts, it does not mean that they are doing necessarily well in business. I did not know that. I used to always think that, oh, you have big account, that means you're getting students. Not true, because they would ask me, how many students come to your class? Do they keep
Right.
coming again and again? So
Right.
they were not getting any retention. They would
Right.
have students, they would pay them, but then they would leave.
Got it.
And then I realized, oh, I guess following doesn't matter. What really matters is your work.
Right.
And if you do not have the power to retain your clients, that means your work sucks. I'm sorry. Like you need to do something about it. So then I stopped feeling insecure. And again, I didn't put any effort on my social media after that. I'm like, like I ain't, low. So even when I collaborated with the studio I did, I actually got that because I don't have a big account, but the person who made the studio had a bigger account. And
Right.
he knew off of me because those people who knew off of me were people who learned from me, So,
Right.
people, that's how they know of you. So when I collaborated with that studio, I got exposure to other coaches, and they were brilliant at their work. And on top of that, they had, good amount of followings because they were also people who had brand sponsorships with like Nike and different companies. And that's where I learned that, oh, so this is the benefit of having a big social media following, that you
Right.
get more visibility. And imagine if you're also good at your work, then you can also, it'll be a very powerful place to be. Like it's unfortunate, but people do think of you as an expert when they see your Instagram and they see that
Yeah.
number. Wow. So I realized, oh, I should take myself more seriously. I wasn't till then. That's when in October I actually, sat down and I'm like, no, I'm gonna like take this seriously. So I started planning, and now I am very, very consistent. I'm not going to, I don't know anything about Instagram, Twitter growth at all. What I do is I only know how to do one thing well, that is be consistent. So I sit on every Sunday, I sit, and my week's plan for what I'm going to post is ready.
Wow.
And I usually shoot it on one day because I'm very lazy. I know I'm not going to shoot it on the weekday. I shoot it all on one day usually, or maybe like I split it on 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And my content creation stuff is done over weekends, and then I just keep posting it. And till now, has that led to growth? No, because these algorithms are very random. And earlier in October, November, I was so obsessed. I actually started tying my, like, I got really sad when I would put effort into content and it didn't work. I also started taking help. So I actually worked with another editor. Like I paid him, and he was amazing. Like he actually taught me how to shoot videos better, and cinematography while you're doing reels. All of that matters. So I learned a lot after paying him. Was completely worth it, and now I do it on my own. And I keep learning here and there free editing stuff, or how I can use software to edit. I don't enjoy it at all, but it's an unavoidable part of being visible online. So I do it. So it's not grown a lot, but the point is you maintain consistently, keep posting something. And apart from that, on Twitter, there's no strategy. I'm still a little mad. I post whatever I want, but I also post some things that give value. So basically, just keeping it valuable, relatable, and shareable. That's it. And maybe it'll lead to growth, maybe it doesn't. Don't get attached to that. Just maintain an online visibility and know that if your work is good, you'll get students whether you have 100 followers, 500, or like 15,000. It doesn't matter.
Got it,
You just
Komal.
need to get that first one, I feel.
Yeah. Uh, what I take away is putting out content is more important than how nicely you put it. If there is a
100%.
choice between You
100%.
have to put out content, but it's not nice. You're not gonna put out content because it's not nice. I think you have to put out content irrespective of
Yeah,
however it is.
because
It's
you've
better
seen
than
things
having no
that go
content.
viral. Like you've
Yeah,
seen things that go viral. Sometimes absolutely insane things go viral. Okay,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I've noticed this myself. Sometimes I've put in so much effort into making a beautiful video and lot of value, like very
You never
low.
know what really hits off.
Yeah, and then there's sometimes I just pick up my phone and make something in 2 minutes because I find it funny. That goes like I got so many numbers from that, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. So I realized just put something. Some of them should be
Right,
valuable, some of them should be for fun. As long as your profile shows who you are as a person, that's what matters, because when you're doing your business, like you're teaching anything, what matters is you. People can learn what you're teaching from 500 other things. Like we have online courses available. Why are they coming to you to learn? The
right,
truth is they're coming to you to learn because they like you as a person. I'll be
right,
honest.
right.
Like, people can do strength training and yoga with anyone they want, but I know my students come to hang out with me, like, for an hour. Or they like how you teach, they like how you are. So this is it. It is who you are. There'll be people who like you, and you're putting who you are online. So I don't think you need to think so much about it.
Got it, Komal. Komal, just a couple more topics before we
Yeah, yeah.
conclude. One is as a social media creator, this is for people, listening to you, and maybe, people who work related to social media. As a social media content creator, right? Not that that's your main profession or job, for the sake of your business, the content that you create, and you spoke about how you try and learn as much as possible whenever you have time and stuff like that. Have you? What are the services that you would pay for when it comes to creating content on your social media? Is there, first of all, anything that you've thought, what, if somebody did this to me, did this for me, it'll be so nice, I can pay them this kind of money? What's one thing that comes to your mind?
So many things. I think editor is very valuable. Being a video editor,
Right.
especially a short content video editor, like a short form content, like reels, YouTube shorts, especially YouTube shorts, they're really like going up now. So if I could outsource editing, which I did outsource it, and
When you say editing, can you be even more specific as to what
video
exactly you're
editing.
looking for?
Like video editing, so I take a video and they make the final product for me. Like the
Right.
person I
You mean
work
to
with,
say adding motion graphics and,
everything, motion graphics,
transitions?
color grading. The
Right.
person I actually work with, he's amazing. His name is Manish. He doesn't only just teach. He didn't just edit the video for me. What was unique about him? So there are so many video editors in the market right now,
Right.
where you give them the raw clips and they'll make something fancy. They'll add transitions and they'll give it to you. But what's special about Manish, and what even though his fees was pretty like something that as an individual business owner you think before spending this, but I had no problem in spending this to him because he was like a coach for me.
Right.
And he actually taught me an additional skill of working with someone like him. Was he what he did for me as a person who's an absolute noob in shooting videos is he analyzed my Instagram and he told me that you suck at taking your videos, which was
Right.
brutal, but it's true. And he actually taught me on how to think of it differently. Like he actually taught me how to, if I have a thought, like I am teaching a drill related to hip mobility, how it shouldn't just be that drill,
Right.
but instead it should be a whole story and
Right.
surrounding it. And that is something I had never thought of. I'm not creative in that sense,
Right.
and working with him was almost like being coached to think differently. So actually having someone to be accountable to, where he would read my scripts, I would be like, yeah. He taught me like how I can, do settings on my phone, and how I can. And this was all online. Like he would just tell me like instructions, and I would
Right.
follow that.
Right. Right.
And so that was very beneficial. And I have no, like, I would pay him whatever the hell he wants, for those 3 months, because I really enjoyed that process so much. So a video editor in general is amazing. A person who has a subset like this, where they're actually guiding people on how they can be better at content in general, even better. So I would definitely pay for that. If I expand my team and have other coaches, I would also, really nice, like I would really appreciate it if I have some sort of virtual assistant as such, someone who would send reminders to my clients, who would send reminders to me. I
Right.
would willingly pay for that as I expand something that's come to my head. Um, I would add, if it were left up to me, if at any point in the future I have a big social media account, I would be even happy to hand over the social media management to someone, to be honest, because at some level it's just another thing you have to do.
Right.
I would want to reach a point where I'm just coming and teaching classes because that's what I enjoy the most. But since I can't do that, I'm managing it on my own. So these are things that I would actually work with. And I know other coaches, by the way, who are
Okay.
bigger than I am. Like they earn a lot more.
Right.
They have a lot of clients. Lot of clients. They also have a team of other coaches working with them. So these coaches actually work with other virtual assistants. They work with videographers, even like people who are actually shooting the video for them for the reels, and they have like a larger amount of social media related jobs that they actually create because they actually outsource a lot of things as individual business owners. So if you're a person who's good at stuff like this, graphic designing, logo making, editing videos, or copywriting, for social media posts, a lot of coaches actually hire shadow writers
Yeah.
for
Right. Right.
LinkedIn posts and Twitter. If you're doing one of these jobs, then you can help even fitness coaches because a lot of them are on the lookout for help like this.
Got it, Komal. Thank you so much for sharing this. And probably one final question. As an online teacher now, there was a time during pandemic when you dreaded teaching online. You thought life was over because your business had to do a lot with offline and in-person stuff. But then I suspect that today you're only online. You don't meet.
Yeah,
cla-
mostly.
What a transition. So, what are the online tools that you cannot do without today as an
Um,
online teacher?
I cannot do so. I during pandemic, the second year ish, till then I would maintain all my student database on Excel, and that was pretty horrendous because it's also like I did not have policies. Like I did not take payment in advance that time. So by the end of the month, I had to follow up, ask them for payment. So it was really annoying. Some people used to pay in advance, some didn't, and I always had to manually track it. So
Right.
during that time, actually, during the pandemic, there was a person known to me from the yoga circle. He's actually a student of another yoga teacher who made a product called Practice Now. And that product was specifically catering to yoga teachers because his teacher was struggling like that. Like even he
Okay.
was struggling with the Excel sheet stuff. What that product did was it was basically an online scheduler. Like that's where my classes are listed. So it's a platform where it's actually linked to my Zoom account. You can view my batches on that platform,
Right.
register yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a database already on the website. Pay on the website, so it's tied to Razorpay. And every month, then it becomes easy for me even for like my tax return stuff like that because Razorpay bulk pays me instead of the individual payment. So it's tied up to Razorpay. All students have to pay in advance. Once you've paid, you get access to the classes. So you have to log into the portal, check into each class. So the portal keeps a track of how many classes you've attended. My recorded videos of each class are available for 2 days or 3 days post the live class. So it's available only on the platform. Nobody can download it and they can access for those 3 days. And
Right.
then, the access is revoked. So this is a platform that I actually was quite doubtful about because it's a new product that
Right.
time,
Right.
and it was very glitchy that time. And I also transferring your student data to another person is a very sensitive matter when it comes to like fitness,
Yeah. Yeah.
trainers
Yeah.
of any kind. So I was doubtful, but I had a feeling. So I was like, why not? Why not, try it out and see? I did. And it was incredible at that point when it started to, he's grown the product so much since then. Now he has his own team and he serves a lot of big yoga schools and a lot of yoga teachers. And because I was one of the initial users, I also got like a nice, initial start price. And now there are many features on it, so it allows me to also differently price my classes according to where people are joining it from. So I have students now in my online sessions from different countries in Europe as well
Wow.
as
Okay.
US. So
Nice.
those people get the price shown in dollars and euros depending on which place you're doing it from, because as an Indian teacher you have to understand the currency difference. I was too late in understanding it.
Yeah.
I don't price it too higher in the US and euro dollar, like in the euro terms, but I do price it differently. So I do get a little bit more money from those who are logging in from outside. So this is a product I definitely don't think I can live without. And there are like
It's
I
called
know that
practice
at this
now.
point, yeah, he's also planning to like I pay him monthly, so he's also planning to increase the price this year. But I 100% know that I'm going to stick with him because it's so valuable to me. So things like that. I subscribe to Zoom. Zoom is a subscription that I can't do without. Um, and there are a lot of gadgets as an online person that I've invested in over time, like not all at once. It took me some time. So I have a mic, I have a very good quality camera, I have a good quality laptop, and I also have a space. Like now I'm traveling, so I don't, but I actually have a space where I've completely cleared out everything, and that's just my work room, because that boundary of working from your home needs to be created. So if I'm in my work room, I'm working. Outside that, I'm not working, because it gets very
Right.
hazy if you're working from home. So that's the setup I have. My majority work is now online, especially this year. There are plans for me to collaborate with offline studios and take offline workshops, but that's going to be coming in the later half of the year. But online sessions are going to be like a fixed offering that I'm going to have.
Got it, Komal. Sorry, just another point of
Mhm.
discussion, just a brief one, fun one. You know, you're traveling right now, you're in Dubai. So, how much advantage have you taken of your online teaching thing that you can keep traveling? I mean, is this your first out of country thing, or have you been traveling for a while? What's your plan? Like, are you going to do this
Uh,
traveling?
Actually, sadly, I haven't traveled a lot. I
Oh,
know a
okay.
lot of people do this thing where they teach online so they can travel. It's been opposite for me last 2 years because of some stuff in family and health related issues. Not mine, but like I was a little busy and tangled
Right.
up in that. So I don't like a disruption in my routine as such. So for the past actually 1.5, 2 years, I've actually not traveled much at all. It's only this year where, in fact, because last year also I was in collaborating with the studio, I had my entire time commitment there. So it's like my initial morning shift, I used to work with them. And I would come back home and teach my online sessions. Beyond that, I had zero energy to even socialize. Like I had no life. Like I live a very boring life as a fitness person. I'm like in bed at like 8. So it was very boring. So which is why this year, because I'm not working with them anymore, I actually backed off from my work for a after a very long time. I have backed off. I'm actually consciously even took lesser students because now I can afford to. Like I have a little bit of padding. Now I'm trying to learn how to take advantage of the fact that I can travel. My students are not going to forget me. I'll be fine. So I'm not taking that much advantage. With Dubai, actually, I'll tell you one really funny fact is that I have to wake up earlier here because I'm still working in IST time. So all
Right.
my 6 a.m. back for me are at a very ungodly hour. So that's a weird thing. But now I'm learning, I'm trying to take advantage of it. But of course, I'm very specific about how professional my online classes have to look. I take it seriously. So I know that a lot of my own friends take sessions from cafes and they go to some place and they take sessions from there, even airports. But I can't make myself do that. Like I wish I could, but I'm very particular. Like I need open space, my mat is visible, good light, my mic. So because of that, I have limited myself from traveling. So now also if I travel, I want to be at a place where everything will look professional. But I'm planning this year. So this is my first time where I'm actually only thinking of keeping it online and planning my life around teaching while also traveling. It's a little tough, but let's see. This is what I'm learning right now.
Got it, Komal. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking with you. And,
Thank you
learning of
so
your
much.
practices, your methods, and, you've been really open about everything. It's not like you've really, hidden something or whatever. So thank you so much. It was very, very valuable, Komal. Pleasure
Yeah,
talking to you.
thank you for having me here. I hope someone finds value in it. And of course, like I think being open is important because when I started out, there were people around me who were open. Because of them, I got the courage to pursue what I did. So I try to give it back in some way. And of course, if anyone needs mentorship help or whatever it is, I try to be as open because I know in my life I've received that guidance. So I think I owe it to other people who might also benefit from what I have gone through.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Before we leave, I'm just going to stop the recording.